My name is Carrie Beaulieu, and I work for Affluence. We are the team behind Priority Matrix. This first question, how much time do principals spend on their email? We actually gathered this information from an independent survey that we did that we sent out to hundreds of principals at mid-sized architecture firms across the country. And the responses that we gathered led us to a conclusion of a median hours per day at 3 hours, and then a mean hours per day of 3.6 hours. And when we talk about how much time people are spending on their email, this means that approximately half of your day can be actually eaten up in your email inbox. But the fact of the matter is, there's nothing wrong with spending time on your email if the work that you're doing in there is actually effective work that needs to be done. But when we talk about this time, we're actually talking about the time that people spend just clicking around their project folders to make sure nothing has slipped through the crack, looping people in on other emails, or organizing their information. So again, I just want to emphasize that spending time on your email is not a bad thing. And what our goal with you guys is today is to help cut back on all that extra time where you're organizing duplicate information and trying to loop in your team. And that's where, you're losing those extra minutes that when you count them all up at the end of the week, they could have made a really big impact on your workflow. And so the first part that I want to talk about when we touch on this is actually what is coming through your inbox. And based on the research we did, we come up with a few main categories. And those are, feedback, discussion, and updates from your team. Another one of those is project documents, whether they're coming in the form of, share file or Dropbox or box links or something along those lines. Emails that contain action items, so those emails that a project owner might send you, hey, can you update this? Or emails that you send to your team asking them to do things. And then finally, correspondence with project owners, contractors, etc. And the elephant in the room with all of this is that we know that using email to manage these things isn't necessarily the most efficient way to do it. However, a lot of us get stuck using it so much because that's the way that other people like to work. So what I'm going to teach you today is actually how to move away from that. And then, there are always going to be people that say, hey, I have to send you this via email. And what we want to do is keep your inbox focused on those people, but also provide you a more effective way to collaborate with people outside of email. And this comes from the fact that using email, we've all ended up in a situation like this before. You received an email from somebody with a quick update on something or an action item, and you put it in their correct project folder, and then you potentially even start working on it right away. Like, hey, let's schedule a call for next week. So you go to your calendar and you start to enter in that call. However, when we start to operate like this, inevitably something will distract us, and then we tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to come back to this. But next thing we know, it's happened 3, 4, even 5 times, and one or more of those action items can fall through the cracks. What this results in is maybe your team is working with outdated information that you didn't get a chance to send along to them yet, or a task gets delayed that ends up pushing back your project schedule. And this can be uncomfortable for you as a manager, and also uncomfortable for project owners or contractors when it inevitably takes a toll on the project. And this happens in a broader sense because when emails come into our inbox, they're coming in, from the project owner to us as a principal, to us as a project manager, and then we're delegating out that information in smaller parts. However, the result of this is that each person on the project has a piece of the information from the project, but they don't have the full picture. And what we've come to the conclusion is that a more ideal solution is actually a more centralized point of reference for your team where you can accumulate that information that everybody needs to work with. And this centralized location, a lot of people have started using, shared servers with project folders that they keep all of their documents in. For things like feedback, discussion, and updates, they're sending out meeting minutes. And then correspondence with project owners usually stays in the email, but somewhere that provides you easy access to that paper trail. And the trend is that people are moving further and further towards these collaborative solutions, like the one I'm going to show you today. Something that allows you to actually track the action items from those emails, even share those emails in a centralized location, and then remove that step of that extra place to store project documents because you can actually do it in that collaborative system if it's built in a way that fits into your workflow. And this results in a more effective solution, where each person who's receiving information, maybe they're receiving information from the project owner, maybe they're receiving information from one of the contractors you're working with, or maybe this information is coming through their own head and they want to pass it along as an update. And rather than fragmenting that information and sending it to people one by one, by using a centralized source of information, we can actually make sure that people have the full picture rather than parts of the picture spread out across our team.